There is a lot to Jerry Garcia's playing, and it is discussed in this video. And even though it might seem like a lot, digest it in chunks, take your time, and welcome to the Stitch Method. It's time to do In the Mind of Jerry Garcia for Deal. Very excited to do this improvisational guitar lesson, showing you how Jerry Garcia kind of thinks his way through the solo and feels his way through the solo. And so without further ado, we're just going to get right down to it. Earlier this year, I introduced the Master Music Formula, which is the formula to explain how music works. And when you look at music with this formula, you really can easily understand your role in improvising and songwriting. So let's take a look. Music equals scales and or chord tones happening over chords plus the human element. We are going to use this formula to totally attack Deal and get you ready to rock on it. All right, so let's start. The first thing you look at is the chord progression. Now this chord progression is a doozy. Lots to remember. If you want to write it down, because when I was practicing this, I did have to write it down and stare at it just to make sure I was on target. So let's go through that chord progression. Fun swing beat song, 1, a 2, a 3, a 4. It's got that feel. And so you want to practice the chords, of course. So you have A, C sharp 7, F sharp minor, A, D, D sharp diminished, A, F sharp minor, B, D, or D7, A, C sharp 7, F sharp minor, A, D, D sharp diminished, A, G, D, A, G, D, back to A. All right, doozy, all right? Initially, when you look at this chord progression, it has the same notes pretty much as the A hexatonic scale, which is the A major pentatonic with the added 4. It has all the notes: A, C sharp, F sharp. It has the D, it has the B in it. It doesn't have the D sharp diminished, but that's okay. We'll talk about how to handle that. And so, when you're looking at this first portion, not the A, G, D part, when you're looking at the first 3 lines of it, it is quite feasible that you can play the A major hexatonic scale on top of it, and it should work. But that's not what Jerry Garcia does. He really zooms in. But in case you want to learn how to solo on this and keep track of everything, the first thing you should do is play the A hexatonic scale. I'm going to show you, so that you are comfortable kind of soloing over this chord progression. So what is the A hexatonic scale? It's just an A major pentatonic with adding the 4 of the key, which is D, which is in this song. So we have A, B, C sharp, D, E, F sharp, A, B, C sharp, D, E, F sharp, A. It's just that pentatonic with that 4th note in it, with the 4th note of the key. And so really quickly, all I'm going to do is I'm going to solo with that hexatonic just to show you that, one way to look at soloing over this chord progression, of course, is to see if those root notes pertain to any scale that you can sew together. And it just so happens that the A hexatonic, which is very, very common in southern rock and jam rock, works very, very well over this. So what I'm going to do is just load up a backing track, solo with that, and you probably want to do the same thing, just getting a feel for soloing over that chord progression, because paying attention to those chords is huge, right? So let's see what it sounds like. So that was just A hexatonic, pentatonic, just flopping around. The next part, A, G, and D, all right? And don't worry, we're going to dive real deep into what Jerry Garcia is doing. We're just kind of priming ourselves and zooming out and really taking a look and taking a breath I'm talking fast, but taking a breath and kind of seeing what we can do. The A, G, and D part is a different key. It changes keys here. The A, G, and D is the 5, 4, 1 in the key of D. In the key of D, the 1 is D, the G is 4, and the 5 is A. And what that means is that the D major scale, also known as A mixolydian, should work quite well because we're starting on the A. And so the D major scale right here. This comes on this note. Swearing on play guitar. This comes from the C-shaped D chord. It brings the major scale with it, and this is the D major scale. So on top of the A, G, and D part, I'm just going to switch my mental space to using a D major scale. Now, if you're practicing with me, when it gets to the A, G, D part, and you prefer a different D major scale, go for it. But let's just make sure this kind of all works. We're kind of looking at that chord progression. We're trying to figure out the scales that work, and then we're going to see what, how far in does Jerry Garcia go? All right, let's do this. Here we go. So I'm going to put up what scale I'm using on the screen because it's hard to talk about it when you're doing it. Here we go. So you can see that it works, and if you wanted to just practice that is not what Jerry Garcia does right now, but if you just want to sit and practice the A hexatonic and the D major scale so that you could feel that chord progression and you can really, start to lean on it and solo, it's a great idea. Pause this video and do it. But let's move forward, all right? So we are staring at those chords and we're saying, well, that's an option. It's not what Jerry Garcia does. What does he do? Well, he zooms in even more. He looks at those chords individually, even though you can put them into a bigger scale. He says, no. I'm gonna attack those chords one by one. And so for this, what we're gonna do here is I played this stuff up here so you can kind of visualize it, but now we're gonna move it to the 9th and 12th fret area. And the reason being is this is where he kind of comes in on a lot of the deals that I listen to, all right? And so he attacks each chord. So the first thing you want to do here is learn each chord shape right here. Now this section might go by fast. There will be a chart for you if you want to grab it. It's linked below. And on Patreon, we're going to have the charts all over the guitar neck and be practicing how to do the chord changes and everything in this video. So first, let's take a look now at that chord progression. We're zooming in now, Jerry Garcia style, but to do it, we really have to learn those chord shapes up here. All right, so we're going to start with the A chord is the C shape between the 9th and 12th fret. The C sharp 7 is on the 9th fret. It's the E7 shape or E chord. The F sharp minor is on the 9th fret A string. It's the A minor shape. This is all cage chord stuff. And if you don't know it, I am telling you, you kind of want to know it, all right? Back to an A. Now we have a D. D chord is 10th fret E shape. Then we have a D sharp diminished, and we play it right up here in this little tiny nook. 10, 11, 10, 11 on the the D, G, B, and E string. All right? It goes back to an A. We already discovered that. Back to an F sharp minor. Now it has a B, which is a D-shaped chord, and I play it like this sometimes. Trey Anastasio from Fish puts his middle finger here. That's fine, but I play it like this. And then back to a D7, which is the E7 shape on that 10th fret. A, we already did this. We already did this stuff here. C sharp 7, F sharp minor, A, D, D sharp diminished, and now. For the A, G, and D part, what we're going to do here is we're going to do A here. We're going to bring the G just 2 steps back, 2 frets back, and then the D. And this comes from either the G shape or the A shape. So we have the A. Now, I know. You know, if you're game for this, keep going. If you're like, what in the world, pause. You know, get that chart or write the stuff down and sit and practice those chords. Trust me when I say that Jerry Garcia knows this stuff inside and out. And if you want to play this, you want to do the same thing. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to play the chords right now to that backing track, make sure I can keep track of it, listen to make sure that the chords are correct, and that we can start to hear the color of the guitar coming out. Here we go. Let's see if we can do this. And so I forgot that last day right there. All right, so sounds great. Now the reason that you want to move everything up here is because when you're soloing, the ear hears the higher notes, like upper register, as the lead, the solo. So we're taking it up here so that when we start to do this, the ear goes, okay, there's our guitar solo. All right, so what do we do? What does Jerry Garcia do? Well, he plays with those chord tones, right? He really is zoomed in, and he's not just arpeggios, and I want to explain this. There's a lot to do. He knows all the arpeggios to the chord shapes that he's dealing with. Those are in my caged masterclass popping up right here. And so he has all of these arpeggios per each shape going on. He knows, you know, where the 1, 3, 5, flat 7, 1, 3, 5, flat 7, and 1 are. And I'm going to go over those really quickly. And he's also using pentatonics. So we have to learn how to see those chord tones, how to see those pentatonics per chord. I mean, like, think about it. You know, Jerry Garcia is just amazing, and yes, this is what it takes, and this is what's going on through his head, but he learned it so early in his career that he can just kind of shut it off and do what he wants to do, but we have to learn it before we can shut it off. All right, so let's go over the arpeggio shapes for each chord. All right, so we are starting to get into the frosting or the numerator portion of the formula, and let's do it. I hope this isn't too much. All right, so the the C-shaped arpeggio for A. All right, there's a pentatonic that goes with it as well. It's the form 4. All right, that's important to know. So we want to know the pentatonic for A major, and then we want to know the actual arpeggios. All right, now for C-sharp 7, it's very interesting. We don't have a pentatonic per se, but what we do have is we have arpeggios and a pentatonic. So the arpeggios, 1, 3, 5, flat 7, 1, 3, 5, flat 7, and 1. And then we have this E-shaped pentatonic that we can kind of throw on it, on top of it. But really, you know, with the C-sharp 7, I'm finding a lot of arpeggio work by Jerry. Oh, yeah, so, you know, choose your weapon right there. For the F-sharp minor, all right, we have the arpeggios. Let's see, we have, sorry. All right, and then boom, 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 boom. There it is. And then we have the same exact form 4 pentatonic for A, because that's relative major and relative minor. But if you want to just start focusing on the pentatonics, that's fine. I mean, the chord tones, that's fine. A, D. Okay, D is here. Some say D7. Whatever you want to do, you have your pentatonics. You have your chord tones. And you have your pentatonic. It's the same kind of thing as the C7, C-sharp 7. But seeing those arpeggios is huge. Then we have the D-sharp diminished. Now, the D-sharp diminished I want to talk to you about is played like this, and we're gonna stay focused on this right now. These are the notes you want to hit. There's really no pentatonic assigned to this one. There's a diminished scale, which we'll kind of go over in the future. But 10, 11, 10, 11, these are the chord tones. It's one beat, so you kind of just want to hit them. We did the A, F sharp minor, B. Okay, B here. Now, I do find with the B, it's more arpeggios than pentatonic, but we'll do both. We have the arpeggios. And then we have the pentatonic that goes with the shape. Then we have D, we already did. And then everything repeats itself. For the A, the G, and the D, we have more, it's definitely more chord tones. This chord tone here, these chord tones here, and the chord tones here for now. Just. All right, now let's talk here. So the first thing I'm going to do is just practice running those arpeggios instead of the chords. I'm going to run the arpeggios on top of the chord progression, and I'm going to make sure that everything kind of sounds right. Now it's going to happen fast here, and if you want to find a deal backing track on YouTube and slow it down, you absolutely can. But let's see what those arpeggios sound like. You can hear it's already coming together, right? Definitely not the hexatonic from before. Now it's like, ooh, we're starting to sink our teeth into it. We are officially now reaching into the frosting or the numerator portion. Now, what does Jerry Garcia do with this? Well, what he does is nothing shy of like magic here. Now that we have our kind of like machine that we're going to use the solo with, we really want to start taking a look at Jerry's human element, which is the key to his playing. He does a couple of great things that we want to talk about. The first thing that he does is he definitely uses chromatics, and this is why I introduced the pentatonic. He uses chromatics to sew together physically where he is a chord tone to a pentatonic or a chord tone to a chord tone. What do I mean by that? Well, if you look at the A arpeggio and you look at the A pentatonic, it is very common for Jerry Garcia to play like the root note, then go to the very next note in the pentatonic, see the chord tone here, and just chromatically. Then he goes here, this is a pentatonic note, and he chromatically goes up to the chord tone. He just bridges together these physical notes, and then a root note. Yeah, I've listened to many deals, and a lot of them start off with this exact line. And all it is the A major pentatonic and the A chord tones being connected chromatically. On the C sharp, definitely a lot of, he definitely loves lead in with this major 7. Listen, arpeggio, there is that root note and that 7, he sees it, adds a little bit of chromatic movement. If you look at the F sharp minor, here's that root, minor 3rd, here's a pentatonic note, you're going to see him. And then even here, all right, boom, like that. And anything he can see where he has these separations of notes that are in the chord. There's the 1, 3, 5 of the C sharp, boom, bum, 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 bum. That's why it's important to know your arpeggios here. Here's flat 7 to 1. He sees the map in his head quite clearly, and his biggest human element is chromatic connections to physical boundaries of the scales and chord tones he's playing. When you look at him doing the B, there's that arpeggio. It's so, you hear it all the time. Right, there it is, boom, or even backwards into the D. So you want to work on taking these chromatic movements inside these arpeggios and inside these pentatonics and playing them per chord. Now I'm going to solo right now using this, and it's going to go by fast, but trust me when I say I'm just seeing the pentatonics and the arpeggios, and anytime I see a pentatonic and an arpeggio separated by a couple frets, instead of me doing this, I'm going to be doing it Jerry style. Alright, and so let's see what that sounds like, and let's see if I can survive this jam now when we hit the gas. Here we go. this. All right, we're getting real close. Now our prey can't escape. Like we've sunk our teeth in, and we're digging into this, and we're getting closer and closer. More human elements of Jerry include sliding and bending and tweaking those non-chord tones of the pentatonics into chord tones. So when you look at the A, you have the 1, you have the 1, 3, 5, 1, and in the pentatonic we have that major second right there, and he loves like bending that major second up to a major third, and he loves playing these bends, which is not uncommon in any sort of music, but he loves doing it, just bending pentatonic notes, messing with them, sliding to them. There's that Jerry thing that he does all the time, where he's a slide and a pull off in the A major. All right, and so now we are going to do it again. We're going to add some bending, some sliding to those chord tones. We're going to talk about a couple more things. So the human element right now is taking the map that would make sense to any lead guitar player and putting these Jerry-isms, which are chromatics, bending, sliding. Let's see if we can add some stuff. So we're getting even closer now. Now let's talk about that A, G, and D part. I've heard him do 3 things on that, and we're zooming in now. So let's talk about those 3 things. The first thing is what we talked about, playing the D major scale on top of it, and he usually plays it up here. It's the same exact scale. It's, sorry, really? D major scale comes from the C-shaped major scale, and he's just, A, G, D. He's doing that. He's just kind of dancing around. Sometimes he's just playing the chord tones. And the other thing he's doing is playing an A major pentatonic. This is a mixolydian progression. And when you zoom in, I have a class about jamming over mixolydian. One of the options is playing the A major pentatonic, and you can hear it. So I'm going to play, when we get to that, I'm going to play the A major pentatonic. I'm going to do it major Neverlost style. And you'll hear it, so let's see if we can do all of it. There. We're almost there. One more thing to talk about, all right? Now, we're doing it just here. On Patreon, we're going to do it everywhere. We'll talk about it, get into your bones, practice those chord progressions. Oh my God, this is such a long lesson already. But here's the deal. Here's the deal. The last human element we're going to talk about is the zig when he's going to zag. I talk about this all of the time on my channel when I'm talking about Jerry Garcia. One thing I absolutely love about his playing is he's going in one direction, and he can pivot on a dime and go backwards, or he's going backwards and then jump up. He really kind of like in the middle of the bars decides to just change direction and keep you on your feet, and it's something I absolutely love about his playing. It is very unpredictable. It's not even predictably unpredictable. I know he's going to do it, but like where he does it is absolutely outstanding. So one thing you want to work on is just taking a phrase and changing direction, like boom, where I instead of climbing straight up, I kind of like boom, boom, and then jump. You know, jump around, change your directions. One thing I do want to mention is that a lot of people think what I'm about to do is like a jazz move. It's not really a jazz move. It's just a physical attribute of the guitar. And Jerry Garcia does this a lot, which is these moves I just did where instead of climbing straight up, he's going to use that pentatonic, but he's going to go from the high note down to the low note like this. And it sounds jazzy, but you know, that he does all the time. Like, so, you know, instead of just finding the flow, if he might, you know, do those reverse moves. Anyway, let's see if we can put some of that stuff in and survive this whole jam. And yeah, here we go. All right. Messed up there, but you're allowed to when you're filming it and teaching it and trying to keep track of everything. All right, so I think I covered a lot of ground here. I hope it makes sense. I know it's a lot. I mean, there's a lot to Jerry Garcia's playing. There's a lot to it. But if you could do this step by step, you'll be unstoppable. Absolutely unstoppable. Join me on Patreon if you want to practice this stuff, how I practiced it, nice and slow, different portions of the neck, analyzing how to really conquer this. There will be a chart below for the chord progressions and places that I discussed in this video. That's pretty much it. Thank you so much for being here. I hope you enjoyed. Bye-bye.